The sights and sounds, smells and tastes of Cuba. Easy to take in the colorful cars, brilliant buildings, cigars, coffee, rum, the liveliness of downtown Havana, the kindness of its people. But open those vibrant doors, talk to the people living behind them, and the reality has a different color. Our first morning in Havana, we hop in the car with Atrial, who gives us the lay of the land, pointing out banks, theaters, Hotel Nacional, beaming with pride as he introduces us to his country. Takes us out for the best mojitos in town, talks about his family waiting for him at home.
Oh my goodness!
Congratulations!
Twins? Twins?
The very next day we meet Oscar. He takes us on a walking tour, at first pointing out similar things.
A copy of the Washington Capitol.
His tone quickly changing.
Work for the government. No matter how hard you work, you are going to earn the same salary.
Oscar says he's always known something was missing for him, his wife, and 2 kids, but it wasn't until this cancer researcher was sent abroad for work that he realized what that something was.
And it's really sad for Cuban people to see how other government support.
He says it was then that the concept of Cuba's communist control suddenly felt suffocating. The government regulating people's incomes, the news they read, what TV channels they watch, the websites they can visit.
If you are outside Cuba, if you are abroad Cuba, you can know more about Cuba than if you are inside.
But he's stuck there on the inside, dreaming about a life in America. Legally, he can't leave, so for now he meets as many people visiting as possible, learns from them what he can, gets a glimpse of life on the outside. Cabrera's on the outside. Now a Texan, Cabrera waits for the day he can visit the country where he was born.
Because a lot of people don't understand that.
He's 100% Cuban.
I have family there, I was born there, it's sort of my blood, that sort of thing.
But he doesn't feel connected to his culture.
Just pictures with my mom playing, me and my mom playing in our front yard, me in diapers, things like that.
His family leaving Cuba when he was just 2 years old.
I mean, you've seen Cuba more than I have. I would love to be able to go.
But right now,
you know,
he can't.
My dad was actually a political prisoner. He was in jail for 7 years, and so was my grandfather. They didn't like the way, you know, the whole thing with Fidel was going, and they spoke up a little too much, passing out like leaflets in the streets, the anti-Castro leaflets, like they would get you arrested. That's the only reason I haven't gone back, is just out of respect for him. Hopefully by the time I'm 55.
As Cabrera continues to wait, he is happy to see so many Americans visiting since the travel ban was lifted.
It's like the forbidden fruit, right? You just want to go back and kind of see what it's all about.
He hopes it will help people understand the complicated history between the neighboring nations. For starters, the 40-year debate over the U.S. embargo. Cabrera says many Cubans, like his father, support the embargo. The thought being when the U.S. sends goods to Cuba, it's the Cuban government that benefits, not the everyday people.
But when they do get into the island, they only get into the certain population that's okay with, you know, the Castro regime and the Castro government and things like that, and everybody else sort of gets the scraps.
But Cabrera sees things differently. He wants the island to become more open, saying the U.S. sending nothing only hurts the Cuban people more.
You're trying to stifle out something that doesn't want to be stifled out through modes of hurting essentially the lowest sort of rank of people that are just kind of living, trying to make it in Cuba.
That frustration seen from the outside.
The land
similar to what Oscar is experiencing on the inside.
So when people don't have nothing to lose, you know, you become an animal, and you fight for food, for your family, for, you know, to survive.
They have no frame of reference to say, okay, listen, we want something better. So if they don't know what's better, they're not going to want it.
Cabrera says it's a cycle. Without access to certain information, citizens can only see what the government allows them to see. This wall, for instance, in the Museum of the Revolution in downtown Havana, featuring President George W. Bush with the swastika on his hat.
It's sort of surreal.
It's propaganda like this, Cabrera says, that pushes the Cuban government's narrative, places the blame on the U.S., and adds to the tension between the countries.
It's just sad that, you know, we find ourselves in a situation where they think and that they have to look for enemies to justify what they're doing.
Less finger-pointing, more harmony.
It sucks. It's one of the last kind of holdouts in the world.
Change he knows won't come overnight.
Once you get a people, you know, used to something for 40 years, it's hard to change.
But a risk he believes will pay off.
I think Cuba's going to have a lot to contribute to the rest of the world, the Western society.
Himself included, which is why he's recently started talking to his father about going to visit.
Well, I want to go stay at someone's house, maybe my family, and just see exactly how people live.
A conversation he wants more Americans to have, one he hopes will allow him to one day return to the place he was born.
I have a little bit of a dream of opening up a scuba dive shop on the beach in Cuba.
A conversation Oscar hopes will allow more Cubans to see what else is out there.
Also, the Cuban government is lying what is happening to
In the meantime, Cabrera says,
just don't forget about it. Don't forget that what's going on there, right? Especially in our own backyard. And before you know it, it'll be another 40 years, and it'll be in complete, even more disarray than what it is right now.
While he waits for change, the beat goes on. Steph Manacero, Spectrum News.